My hand trembled as I held the knife, the blade glinting in the faint light filtering through the window. My mind was a battlefield of emotions, torn between the love I had for my children and the overwhelming fear of what they might become. I couldn't bear to watch them suffer as Sarah had, but the thought of ending their lives was a torment I couldn't easily accept. As I stood there, the silence of the night pressing in on me, a soft whimper broke through the stillness. It was Liam, his sleep disrupted by a feverish dream. I rushed to his side, dropping the knife on the floor with a thud. His face was contorted in pain, and I brushed his sweat-soaked hair off his forehead. The sight of his innocent vulnerability pierced my heart. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to take their lives, no matter how dire the circumstances. I knew the world had changed, that we were living in a nightmare, but I couldn't relinquish my humanity so easily. The next few days were a blur of desperation and determination. I scoured the internet for any shred of information, any glimmer of hope that a cure might exist. I ventured out into the decaying city, my heart pounding with each step, scavenging for medical supplies, searching for any signs of life. The streets were eerily empty, the only company the haunting echoes of my own footsteps. Despite my best efforts, the search for a cure yielded no results. It seemed that the world had fallen into a deep abyss, and the virus was an enemy that couldn't be vanquished. My heart ached as I returned to our makeshift home, the weight of my failure heavy on my shoulders. As the days turned into weeks, Emma and Liam's condition deteriorated. Their once vibrant eyes grew distant, their movements sluggish. I watched helplessly as they struggled to hold on to their humanity. I held their hands, whispered stories, and sang lullabies, clinging to the remnants of our normal lives. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across our refuge, Emma looked at me with a quiet resignation. "Daddy, I don't want to hurt," she whispered, her voice fragile. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I pulled her into an embrace. "I know, sweetheart. I know." It was a heart-wrenching admission, a truth that neither of us could deny any longer. Liam's coughing grew worse, and his fever spiked. I sat by his side, his frail hand in mine, my heart shattering with each raspy breath he took. The world had become a relentless nightmare, and I was powerless to stop its descent into darkness. One night, as I watched over my children, a distant sound reached my ears. The faint wail of sirens. My heart raced as I looked out the window, the city lights dancing in the distance. Was it a sign of rescue? Of hope? I held on to that glimmer, my pulse quickening with anticipation. Hours turned into an agonizing wait, the sirens growing louder, the source approaching. And then a sudden deafening crash shattered the silence. I rushed to the window, my heart pounding, and what I saw froze me in place. A convoy of military vehicles rolled into the street below, soldiers clad in hazmat suits emerging from the trucks. They moved with purpose, their weapons at the ready, scanning the area with grim determination. My hope warred with skepticism. Were they here to help, or were they just another faction seeking control in the chaos? Before I could decide, the door to our apartment burst open and armed soldiers flooded in. They shouted orders, their voices stern and commanding. I held my children close, a mix of fear and uncertainty coursing through me. One of the soldiers approached, his visor concealing his face. "We're here to contain the outbreak," he said, his voice muffled by the protective gear. "We have a quarantine facility set up. Anyone showing symptoms must come with us." Desperation gripped me. "My children—" I started, my voice catching in my throat. The soldier's gaze softened, if only slightly. "We can provide medical care," he said, though I sensed the reassurance was more for himself than for me. Emma and Liam were too weak to resist, and as the soldiers led them away, I felt a mixture of relief and heartbreak. I had no guarantees about their fate, about what awaited them in that facility. But it was a sliver of hope, a chance, however uncertain. Days turned into weeks once more, and I found myself in a bleak limbo, alone in our apartment, the silence deafening. I watched the news broadcasts, hoping for any news of a breakthrough, of a way to save my children. The city remained under military control, isolated from the rest of the world. And then one day, the broadcast stopped. The screens went blank, and the world outside my window grew quiet. It was as if the last vestiges of civilization had been swallowed by the abyss. The uncertainty gnawed at me, and I was haunted by the choices I had made, the lives I had tried to protect. Now, as I sit here, writing this account of my experiences, I can't help but wonder what lies beyond the walls of this apartment. Is there hope beyond the silence? Are Emma and Liam still alive, their humanity preserved? Or have they become like the creatures that once roamed the streets? The weight of my decisions presses heavily on my shoulders, a burden that I can't escape. I clutch the locket that contains a picture of my family, a bittersweet reminder of the love we shared and the horrors we endured. The silence is all-encompassing now, a reminder of the world that was and the world that now hangs in the balance. And so, I wait. I wait for a sign, for a glimmer of hope, for the truth to reveal itself. But as the days stretch on, I'm left with the haunting question. What does it truly mean to survive in a world where humanity itself has been infected by the darkness? The question is one decision better than the other? Especially when there is no right answer, I don't know. I'll leave that for you to decide the right path. All I know, I can't wait for the day until I see them again. Until then, stay safe and I'll keep you posted.